and welcome to the preview of the opening of our 2019-2020 season. And we are opening against Manchester City. It's the Community Shield, the Charity Shield, whatever you want to call it. It's the Shield. It's tomorrow. It's 3 o'clock. And I'm looking forward to it. I am looking forward to it. Now, let me know what you think in the comments below. How do you think Liverpool are going to line up? How do you think Manchester City are going to line up? Are we going to go as strong as possible? Or are we going to go and follow suit with maybe putting a couple of youngsters in there? Are we going to have to put a couple of youngsters in there? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And also, let me know what you think the result will be. Now, for me, this game is like... I look at it like the final of your pre-season. And I know a lot of people will look at it as like, well, you can set the bar for the rest of the season going forward if you get a good result in the Community Shield. Now, sometimes that doesn't always work out. Some people that, teams in the past that have won the Community Shield or Charity Shield, whatever you want to call it, don't always go on to have the very best seasons and such like that. It depends how those teams go on for the rest of the season. This doesn't necessarily outline how the rest of our season or their season will go. So with that in mind, I'm looking at this as I just want us to have a good performance regardless of whether we win or lose, and I want to see at least a good style of football, either similar to what we were playing last year or that we've been playing under Jurgen Klopp, and the last game of pre-season that we played against Lyon, which was actually a very good game overall. And I want to see sort of what we're going to line up like for the first game of the season against Norwich. We are going to be missing Sadio Mane. He's still not actually having to report back to duty at Liverpool. He was in the African Cup of Nations right up to the final, so he hasn't actually reported back yet. So we've still got Mane will be missing in this game, but the rest of the team should be there. Obviously, Nathaniel Klein has got a long-term injury, and there's someone else, but I can't remember who it was as well. But everybody else should be fit and available. So apart from Mane, we actually would be able to field probably our strongest 11 and maybe a Harry Wilson on the left-hand side. Now, I mentioned Harry Wilson because he got a lot of plaudits and he got a lot of positivity out of the game that he played against Lyon. He scored a brilliant goal and he did play pretty well. There's also talk that Klopp wants to move him on or may move him on if clubs are interested, but probably only wants to go and sell the player instead of actually send him on loan again. So I would much rather him stick around Liverpool. I want him to be involved in Liverpool because I think we haven't brought in any signings for like a forward line or anything like that. None that are really going to, apart from the younger lads like Ryan Brewster, like Harry Wilson, we're not bringing in signings to cover those positions. That's not happening. So I would much rather us, instead of sending someone like Harry Wilson out on loan, let's keep him at Liverpool, get him involved with the first team, get him in and around the squad, and why not involve him when we can? Mane is a fantastic player, but we also need cover for if he comes back injured. He's probably, not going to be match fit when he comes back. We are going to need someone out there. Obviously, we've got options like a Shaqiri can play out there as well, but still, just to have that little bit more of an option. And it would do well for the fans as well. The fans would actually be on board with, if you put Harry Wilson in a team sheet, they're going to be well behind him and let him make mistakes. Get those mistakes or whatever from a younger lad because he's from the academy. You're going to allow a bit more. He's come from the academy, he's going to make mistakes, he's going to do some good things as well. Give him a bit more time, and I like that. But if we end this transfer window, we haven't signed a forward player for either left-hand side or right-hand side, cover, whatever, and then we go and send someone like Harry Wilson on loan, and then we don't have appropriate cover for like Mane or Salah or whoever, that's when questions start to be asked about our transfer policy massively. So I mainly want to focus on the actual game tomorrow though, and I'm excited because obviously it's one of those things when there's not been a great deal to watch in terms of football action over the summer for me personally. Anyway, I haven't been able to watch things like the African Cup of Nations and stuff like that, so I've actually missed quite a lot of football. So it's really good for it to come back. I'm really excited for Liverpool to come back and see how we actually do. Seeing the pre-season game, against Lyon actually gave me a lot more faith that we were just waiting for most of our first team players to come back. We had a pretty dire pre-season, to be honest. Let's be honest. The younger lads have really impressed. They've come in and they've done well, but the results and stuff like that. Obviously, pre-season results don't mean everything, but it sometimes gives you a platform to build off. Now, I look back to the season before, we had a lot of our first team all there at the same time. This year, it's come back in drips and drabs. It hasn't all been there. I think, prior to the Lyon game, I think it was just that week where we actually had most of our, if not all of, apart from Mane, all of our first team together. So to get them back at that late stage, and then they put the performance in that they did against Lyon, rusty in parts, but they did very, very well, produced the goods, some good goals as well. And it was enjoyable. It really was enjoyable. It gave me a bit more faith that this team can go forward as it is and can perform and can get results. Now, we're coming up against Manchester City. Manchester City are the big dogs in the Premier League right now and are tipped heavily to win the Premier League again, which would be 3 times in a row. And they're going to take some stopping this season. They really will. Now, they haven't made as many additions to their squad as they possibly usually do. But like bringing in, I think Rodri is a massive one for those guys, especially in midfield when they're looking at, when Fernandinho comes out of the team, sometimes that's where their performances, like I think against Crystal Palace and Leicester last season, they would capitulate a little bit and would maybe lose games. Now I go back to Rodri. Rodri will give them not only he could be a first team starter, gives them different options in formations as well. You can combine him with Fernandinho, or you could play him as a central on his own, rest Fernandinho if need be. However, or if someone's injured, they've got now a bit more cover, and that is really good for them. They've needed that. Whenever Fernandinho came out of the team, it didn't go well for Man City for quite a period of time, but when he's in there, it's really good. Now that they've got someone for themselves that can cover that position very, very well and is tipped to be like the next Sergio Busquets, then that's a positive for them. And I imagine that he might feature against Liverpool as well. Otherwise, I kind of expect a Manchester City that is going to be like sort of Raheem Sterling, Leroy Sané, even if he's, rumoured to be wanting to leave and goes to Bayern Munich, whatever. I imagine that these guys are going to feature, same as maybe Aguero, Jesus. Kevin De Bruyne's apparently looked really, really sharp in pre-season as well. In defence, obviously they don't have Vincent Kompany anymore, but they still had strong defensive players as well, and Ederson in goal, such like that. I think we'll probably go with what was always the standard back four last season, pretty much, was Alisson in goal, so make it a back five. Alisson, Andy Robertson, Virgil van Dijk, Joel Matip over Joe Gomez, or it's going to be Joe Gomez. Don't know which, but I would probably go with Matip, to be honest. I think that, unless he's injured for some reason, but I haven't got him listed down as injured, so that's what I imagine that we will go for. Trent Alexander-Arnold on the right-hand side. Naby Keita looked sharp as a whistle. That doesn't make sense, but he looked very, very sharp against Lyon, and I imagine that he'll start in this game as well. Fabinho got no excuse, no reasons I can find why he wouldn't play. The curveball would be if Klopp tries to find a way of putting Lallana in as a 6. I'm not sure I'd be a fan of that against like the machine that is Man City. I would much rather have someone like Workman, not Workman, but I want like the quality of Fabinho in there. I want the quality of Naby Keita in there, and like a Gini Wijnaldum, players like that. That's what I would want in there. Adam Lallana can do it, and he has done it in parts at pre-season, but these are like my guaranteed midfielders, if you know what I mean. I'd want to see a Fabinho, Naby Keita, and Gini Wijnaldum, especially if we're coming up against a midfield of like Kevin De Bruyne. We're going to come up against who have I just mentioned, like Fernandinho, Rodri, any of these guys. If we're going to come up against them, you want to match them with physicality and also talent and good players as well. I'm not saying that Adam Lallana's not a good player, just don't think he would fit in this team for me. And then, other than that, I would probably end up going with Bobby Firmino, Mohamed Salah, and Harry Wilson. That is how I would set up. That's how I would want to see it set up, because we can't set up with Sadio Mane. He's not back yet. Maybe Xherdan Shaqiri, but how familiar is he playing out on the left-hand side? Could you switch Salah over to the left-hand side and put Shaqiri there? Do we play a 4-2-3-1? So many different options, but I would pretty much go with the team that started against Lyon, except I'd have Fabinho in there. I think Lallana was playing against Lyon, if I'm right in that one anyway. Let me know what you think of the lineup in the comments below. What would you change? What would you keep the same as well? And in terms of a result, not going to lie to you, I think we could struggle. I'm not saying that Man City are going to absolutely wipe the floor with us, but I think we could struggle a little bit. I just think that we've gotten our rhythm a little bit late on in pre-season, and you know, the obvious Liverpool diehard fan in me is saying, yeah, we can go out there and win, and we absolutely can. I just think at some point, I think that right now, Man City are probably a little bit more clinical all over the pitch than we are right now. I think we'll be ready for Norwich to open the Premier League season, but I just think we might fall a little bit short in the Community Shield. I want us to win. I really do want us to win, because I want us to win every single game that we play. I really, really do. I just think we're going to come up a little bit short, and I think that we might end up being beat 2-1 by Manchester City. But let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm certainly not trying to be a negative at the start of the season. If we lose or if we win or whatever happens in this game, it's more about the performance ahead of the start of the Premier League season. People will look at it and say, yeah, but it's, you know, it's a trophy, blah, 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 all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. I really do get that. But I look at the Community Shield in the same manner that I look at the FA Cup and the Capital One Cup or the Carabao Cup, whatever. And people won't like that I look at the FA Cup as not important. They really won't. I do not find the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup important whatsoever. And I certainly don't find the Community Shield, important either. Two trophies that I find important is the Premier League and the Champions League. Outside of that, people aren't going to like this either. I look at the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup as trinkets. I really do. It looks at something like, okay, yeah, we've won a little bit of silverware, but what else did we do? You know, if you don't go and win the league or you don't win the Champions League, then you basically just picked up little things that no one's really going to remember unless you don't win anything for a great stretch of time. And I'm hoping that we can put to bed the not winning stuff for a great stretch of time after winning the Champions League last season. So I'm hoping we can build on that and move forward, but we've got to see what happens. But yes, I'm just hoping for a positive result. I'm hoping for a positive performance. Result doesn't necessarily matter. Performance is what I'm really looking at. But we'll see what happens tomorrow. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Anyway, are you looking forward to it? Are you going to be watching it? Let me know what you think, and how do you think it's going to go down. Thank you ever so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, please do like it and subscribe if you're new around here. Get your comments in and we can have a little bit of a discussion. I was meant to do that on the last video and I kind of forgot because I got backlogged at work. So I didn't do that. Apologies for that. But thanks for watching this video, and I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll catch you later.